going to do a very technical video today because I was just watching a video that I will link in the description below, and I actually highly recommend you check out this channel because this guy is doing a lot of video topics similar to how I am doing video topics and analyzing the book world from the side of why isn't this working. But he had one video which was called why he's choosing not to publish at all as opposed to not self-publish, whatever. And I got 2 minutes into it and I kind of got a little mad. And that's because his main thesis, I guess, is that it is too expensive to publish. And while I agree to an extent that if you don't have a good editor in your life, that's going to be pricey, and cover art, really good cover art, not just AI slop, is also going to be a little pricey. He was also saying like editing, I mean not just editing, but like layout and cover design and interior layout, like all the like technical things that go into it. Okay. At risk of throwing some people under the bus, you can do almost everything yourself. I believe the only 2 things you cannot do yourself when you go to publish your book is you cannot edit yourself, and if you are not an artist, you can't do the cover art yourself. But you should be finding, as I said in You Need to Get Yourself an Editor video, you should be finding someone who is in your life who can be your editor and can kind of do some of that at cost, because ultimately editing is more than just checking your grammar and stuff. It's something that you should be working on the project with the person. And so the best case scenario is finding someone who is in your life who can do that. I get that not everybody has that flexibility, but even so, find someone you can be friends with who can be your editor too. You can find a way to do it, especially if you're like not on a time limit because you're not publishing, right? The other thing is cover art. Like, we have a friend who does my covers and he's really, really good, and I'll link his socials down below. Again, I love him. And because he does all our covers, we do get a little bit of a discount from him, and it's great. And you can find someone, again, like your editor, who is loyal and can give you discounts. Now, here's the thing. When I went to publish The Chaos Child, which is this, I made a few mistakes with this book, and I admit to them. So first of all, we did hire someone to do the layout, and their layout wasn't great. Like, on the surface it looked really good, but when I went to go look into it and really dig deep into what was going on, I noticed so many problems. And I had the suspicion that the person might have thrown it into a program and generated the layout that way. And then when I have talked to other writer friends about this, it is very similar. A lot of people use templates for their layout, and they start to kind of look bad or generic, or they start to have issues that go unnoticed because if you're just putting in a template, it's one of the most annoying things to go through every single page to check your layout. But you have to, especially if you use a template. So with The Chaos Child, I redid the layout by hand. AKA, I used Microsoft Word and went in and numbered each page and fixed all the like finicky layout issues, like widows and orphans, which means like a word gets put on another page and it's floating in space, and yeah, spacing and whatever. And I also did the cover design, and I made some mistakes with the cover design. And one of the big things about it is my artist, who did a really amazing job. Again, I love this artist. But this is a very complicated design for book edges. And it shows. there is bleed and overlap where I had issues. Also, I wasn't happy about this. I am happy about the back of the book, because what I did for the back of the book is I went and looked at a bunch of paperbacks and compared and contrasted and said, what are they doing? Let me look at what they're doing and kind of copy. And here's the thing. This guy's main point was that he wanted a book that was going to look like it just came off of the shelf at Barnes & Noble's. He wanted a beautiful looking book. They do that because they're scamming you. These books originally weren't great. Look at this. It's a generic cover. This is also a really, really big paperback book. This is just a yellow box with text on it, the ISBN, and then we go inside. That is tiny, tiny print. Numbers on the bottom, nothing on top. And the paper is cheap. It is so cheap. And this is your generic paperback. This is what paperbacks used to be. They used to be cheap, so you could buy this for $3. And this was sold at Barnes & Noble's at one point or another. Yeah, I mean, also, I will get to this in another video, but whatever happened to the cheap paperback? Because now it's all the 5x8 paperback. And that's kind of, you have to do this size, because most of the printing costs by page today, whereas this costs by size. That's why they got that small font and that many pages. So that's the paperbacks. So now the paperbacks have gone up in price and the quality, but still, this is a modern paperback, a 5x8, and the only difference between this and that is that the quality of the paper is better and the quality of the print is slightly better. But the layout, again, there is nothing on top. There's only words on the bottom. I mean, there's only numbers on the bottom. And then the font. And actually, this is when they started to make the font a little bigger to get your books a little bigger, because this is where the scam comes in. These books, they're throwing them into templates too. They're throwing them into layout generators too. They're not giving a crap. I have found so many mistakes in the layouts of printed books because they just don't care. They just kind of make AI do it for the most part. And what they're doing is they're basically putting all the money into the printing cost to make the book look shiny and pretty and look nice on your shelf. But this, how is this better than this? Except for the mistakes I made with this. And these are mistakes I learned from, because then when I went to go print my new book, I did it better. I haven't gotten the ISBN yet because this is actually a proof copy, but so no. You don't need to spend any amount of money on layout. What you do need to do is actually learn to do it yourself. And I highly recommend you actually do your layouts by hand, because even when I was going over the PDF file of this, I found a mistake that I had to fix. And I found so many of those. So I actually have to reprint this again to check and make sure everything is correct. I'm talking like the font changed on me and stuff. And that's the thing, when you go to put it in a template, the template will not catch any of that and will just spit out the book. And I'll show you. I also learned to do things like put things at the top of the page, not just the bottom of the page. And doesn't it look so nice? I think it looks great. Sorry, my little rant, because this has been annoying me for a while. Because I have been noticing this with professional books. Because I keep saying, they're not editing. They're not even getting good writers. And they're not doing good layouts. They're merely printing expensive looking books and demanding you pay $30 for the privilege of owning a shit book that comes off nice paper. They have never done this before. Usually they try to keep the printing costs as cheap as possible, like with the paperback. And also, I have some books from even older, like this book that I have. It was printed in the 1950s. This looks worse than some of the self-published crap I've seen out there. And there was something I even noticed with this, which is a smaller press, was I noticed things like the wraparound of the cover. And that's a white background. Simple cover. And then simple interior layout. If you are too scared to publish because you want yours to look a certain way, stop. You're not going to get that. You either have to go and sell your soul to the devil, which is traditional publishing, or you just accept the fact that maybe print on demand is not as bad as it used to be. And maybe, just maybe, the bookstores are scamming you and overcharging you for stuff that you can actually do a lot better than they can. So don't ever let money hold you back from publishing or wanting it to look a certain way and look more professional and legit or whatever. A book's a book. What do you want? Do you want people to read it, or do you want people to put it on your shelf and make it look pretty? Publish your books, people. And honestly, find a way to do it so it's accessible too. Whatever that takes. And I'm going to do a video on that later about the paperbacks and the loss of the paperbacks. But yeah. Outside of like, get yourself an editor, but really an editor should be someone you can trust, and therefore a friend, and therefore someone who shouldn't cost that much money. And yeah, if you can't do the cover, get someone to do the art. But again, learn the Photoshop skills yourself. Learn the layouting skills yourself. Once you've learned it, it is so easy, and then you have it, and you never have to rely on anyone else to do it for you ever again. And that is half the battle with publishing books, is just these technicalities. And the more you're in control of the technicalities, the better. And again, the only thing you shouldn't be in control of is editing. That you definitely need to outsource. But that's it.